What's going on, everyone? Welcome to our segment of Watch ReZero right now because it is absolutely amazing. I'm your host, MKD Ultra, and today we're going to be discussing Season 2, Episode 12, titled The Witch's Tea Party. Obviously, if you haven't watched the episode, quite frankly, I don't really know what you're doing here right now. Go watch that episode, then come back here, because obviously there's going to be spoilers ahead. Anyway, cue the intro. Episode 12 picks up immediately after the ending of Episode 11. Subaru died in the broken Amelia's arms in the infamous kiss of death scene. He wakes up to a new loop inside the tomb and understands that he has no fucking clue how he's going to solve the mountain of issues presented all by himself. So he does what any rational person would do and goes to find help. The person he decides to seek advice from is none other than Echidna, the Witch of Greed. He goes to the tomb and begs her to take him into her dream citadel so they can have another tea party, because let's be honest, who wouldn't want more of that delicious donut tea? Subaru then collapses as he isn't taken into the Citadel. Instead, the second trial has been initiated. Basically, the best way I can sum up the second trial is
It's rewind time.
Subaru is forced to witness the aftermath of his deaths and how the people around him deal with Subaru's acts of suicide. The first scene is from the beginning of Season 2, where Subaru learns that no one knows who Rem is and she is permanently asleep, so he stabs himself in the throat with a broken sword. Amelia repeatedly calls him a liar since he broke the promise of him always being at her side, and Wilhelm and Felix frantically try to save him, but it's already too late. Subaru is back to reality for a brief moment and realizes this is indeed the second trial. The next if scene we get takes place right after Julius is forced to kill Subaru because he's been possessed by Betelgeuse. Julius asks Amelia if she can wipe the blood off Subaru's face because it's what he would have wanted. Julius is pained by having to kill Subaru and actually says that he wanted to call him a friend. The next alternate scene is after Subaru jumped off the cliff so he could go back to save Rem from being poisoned. Ram is judgmental, as usual, of Subaru's decision and suspects Beatrice played a part in this. Beatrice is crying over Subaru's death even though she states to have known he couldn't be that person. Ram clearly doesn't understand Subaru's actions and believes he's weak by killing himself. The next and honestly most badass alternate scene takes place after Subaru has frozen to death with Rem in his arms due to Puck's world-ending form. He's approached by Reinhard, of all people, and Puck explains his vow to destroy the world if Amelia dies. Reinhard says that he can't allow Puck to destroy anything on his watch, and Puck states, "A hero is all you can be." Then Reinhard absolutely fucking obliterates Puck with his dragon sword, and the scene ends with a blinding light of Reinhard's power. These are really the only scenes that go into detail of what happens after a death. We're then given a montage of other scenarios, such as Elsa after killing everyone in Old Man Ram's place, Ram after killing Subaru in the mansion hallway, the thieves after killing Subaru in the alley, and things like that. Back into reality again, Subaru sees someone he least expected standing over him, Rem. However, don't get your hopes up because it turns out to be a fake. It's actually Camilla, the Witch of Lust. She's overwhelmed by Subaru after he was able to tell that she was a fake due to her choice of words. She says that this was Echidna's idea, and she seems somewhat confused by the situation as well. Subaru threatens Camilla as he's overcome with rage at this dirty trick, and Echidna says, Finally, we end up where we all wanted to be. Echidna's dream citadel. Initiating another tea party, she explains Camilla's faceless bride ability and then gets down to business. She tells Subaru that she knows he's in quite a predicament in reality and offers him a chance to form a contract with her. She says that she will be able to lead Subaru to his desired future and that her help will go a long way. Subaru's hesitant, but ultimately agrees since he could use all the help he can get. Echidna is turned on by this and tells Subaru to put the palm of his hand against hers so that the contract can be formed. However, there's a huge impact as Minerva says, Minerva, the Witch of Wrath, is pissed off as usual because Echidna isn't being totally honest, as Echidna tends to do, with the details of the contract. She points out that Echidna hasn't told them any negatives on the contract or what she ultimately gets out of it. Echidna explains that in return for her help, she will be able to see, feel, hear, and pretty much experience everything that Subaru experiences, including his return by death. Camilla, the Witch of Lust, suddenly appears and says although Echidna isn't lying, she is hiding a lot of information from Subaru. Echidna tells Subaru to pay no mind to these two, as with this contract she can surely guide Subaru to his most desired future. Suddenly, Sekhmet, the Witch of Sloth, appears and asks if this would be the same promise that always proceed with "in the end." The "in the end" part is pretty emphasized here, and I don't think that this fact is really touched on again. It's just restated a little later by Sekhmet. But I feel like it may be useful information somewhat down the line, so I don't know. Next, Typhon, the Witch of the Witch of Pride appears. Then Daphne, the Witch of Gluttony, pulls up in her metal scorpion thing. Obviously, Subaru is extremely confused as they all surround him in the crater formed by Minerva and wants to know what exactly they want from him. They are all here since Echidna is trying to form a new contract with someone outside of the Dream Citadel. Subaru asks Echidna if she will be able to get him to the best possible future, in which she replies yes. He follows up this question by asking if she will follow the best possible path to this future. To this, however, she has no response. Instead, she says for the purpose of attaining the future he desires, he must accept any sacrifices made along the way, as that was the resolution he made. In perhaps the best and somewhat creepiest scene of this episode, Echidna gives a speech about why she wishes to form a contract with Subaru and just how appealing Return by Death is to her. When wanting to explore situations and simply run trial and error tests in reality, Return by Death does exactly that. His ability will certainly allow her to try anything she desires, and if anything were to go wrong, they can just restart a new loop. Subaru can reach his desired future, and Echidna can experiment as she pleases. Seems legit, right? The scene stands out due to the atmosphere built, since Echidna stands in the field with her arms open, and she goes on about ultimately the use of their contract. The scene rotates around Echidna, and these almost magical lights or effects surround the area. They're kind of like a purple and blue color, making it feel like a dream scenario. There are also murmurs and whispers and a weird kind of background music, I suppose, giving the feel of a witch or another strange entity. Her long white hair blows in the wind as she talks, but eventually her mouth stops moving. I was actually super confused when this happened because the words just continue, but her mouth just stops. It's just open, and I don't know. It's a weird, unnatural, I guess would be the right way to put it. It's like she's a holy statue with her pose and the rotation of the scene. As we move in close to her face, an image of Echidna with a wide grin overlaps the previous one and is gradually transformed into that image. There's a shadow over her face, she has a wide smile, and the magical background is now dark with colors of black and purple shadows. Kind of similar to that of the Witch of Envy, as we saw earlier in this season. Subaru basically sums up the speech and says, Echidna, you're going to use me. She confirms this and says that he can do the same to her. That's the point of the contract. She doesn't want anyone else to share in Subaru's ability to restart. Subaru believes this is shallow of her and realizes that she can't understand how anyone else feels. He says this is the part where she could get angry, but she just says she'll be sure to do that next time. Then with the snap of her fingers, the huge crater made by Minerva is repaired along with the table and chairs. Echidna suggests everyone has a seat since she would like to further discuss the contract. Before that, Subaru remembers what he wanted to ask Echidna, and that is, does she know Beatrice? Echidna states she does, and was even deeply involved in her birth. She also admits to being the one who formed a contract with her, asking her to protect the Forbidden Library and await the one that would come for her. Subaru asks who that person is supposed to be, and Echidna says that she doesn't know. Contract, however, has no specific person who fills that role, and it's simply whoever Beatrice chooses that person to be. Echidna was only interested in who Beatrice would choose. Shocked, Subaru asks how she feels about the fact that she hasn't chosen anyone in 400 years and constantly decides on if she would rather die or uphold her contract. Echidna's response is, I think it's wonderful. Subaru calls her a real bitch, I mean a real witch, and decides to decline her contract offer with them. Echidna and the rest of the witches are shocked, but not by Subaru's decision. A shadow casts over the citadel, and someone behind Subaru is approaching the group. Subaru turns around to see what is causing everyone's surprised looks. The shadowy figure approaching is truly her, Satella. And that concludes episode 12, The Witch's Tea Party. Okay, now this episode was obviously another 10 out of 10 episode for me. I really just like seeing the witches, Echidna included, but all the other new ones, especially since we only got a little bit of Daphne, Minerva, and Typhon. Now I get the rest of the cast, of the rounding out the final 7. So I think they're just really cool characters overall. And I want to know more about them. I'm sure you guys do too. The witches are just interesting in themselves. So obviously I think that they're going to play a huge role in the rest of season 2 going forward. But I think next episode, well, we get to see Satella and Subaru's interaction with Satella, which is also interesting because Satella, the whole point, so we've seen the last loop, or in a previous loop, we got to see Satella after Subaru goes to the tea party with Echidna, tells her everything about Return by Death, and then when he returns back to reality, Satella has basically like wiped everything out. She swallowed everyone up into the shadows. just basically destroyed the sanctuary, killed everyone there, and then including Garfield, killed Garfield in front of Subaru along with the Lewis clones. The whole reason of why that happened, or presumably why that happened, was because Subaru told Ekidona about the return by death, which he wasn't supposed to. So since Satella couldn't get into the Dream Citadel, she would then destroy the sanctuary and kill everyone there, and try to not kill Subaru, but I don't remember exactly, or I don't really know exactly what she wanted to do with Subaru before Subaru kills himself and resets the loop. But now she's in the Dream Citadel, so I don't know, was she just like lying before? Was she just like left it alone? I don't know. There's a lot of, as a typical ReZero episode would go. We're left with more questions than answers after this one. We only have one episode left, sadly. So after that, it's going to be a long break until January. So like what, 3-month break until season 2. But you know, we still got another week, so we'll hold on to that. I also think Satella looks really cool. We only really got to see her on like the shadowy parts when she was destroying everything, but her outfit is pretty much extremely similar to Amelia's, just the white, or kind of like a white, black, and dark purple color scheme to her instead of Amelia's like brighter color scheme, I suppose. It's a darker color scheme. But she looked really cool with the hood over her face and everything, so I'm excited to see Satella, and I'm sure you are too. But yeah, also in the next episode, we're probably not going to see Subaru really take on the loop of all these problems that have piled up with Garfield, Frederica, Elsa, the mansion, the sanctuary, Roswell, the Great Rabbit, you know, everything like that. Probably not going to be able to get a real solution to that. So it's probably going to come in the next half of season 2. So I'm assuming in the next episode we'll get some type of wrap-up or conclusion to the Tea Party and the witches, and ultimately Subaru's contract with Ekidona. I honestly have no idea really what to expect. I'm not sure where we go from here. We only got one episode left in this half. So again, if every episode up until now has left on a cliffhanger, I imagine there's going to be a huge cliffhanger next. But I'm super excited for it. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think Subaru should have accepted the contract with Ekidona? Who is your favorite witch, or which one interests you the most? Would you like to know more about? Why is Satella here? How did she get to the Dream Citadel, and what exactly does she want? Try to keep it spoiler free as far as like web novel and light novels. I'm not sure how far they've gotten past where we are currently, but try to keep it just anime only for the people in the comments. I like to read ahead a little bit in the web novel to kind of like I guess kind of know what's going on, but I'm basically just saving to really catch up reading it when this break happens. So when season 2 part 2 comes out, I'll probably know what happens, but as of right now, I really don't know what happens. So I'm excited to find out. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Take it easy, and I will see you